Hi, my name is Masha Gaiduk and I'm the social media strategist at iAcquire, and I'm going to be talking about Chapter 19, the content platform, and Chapter 20, the content channel plan and action. So in Chapter 19, the author really talks about the different platforms of where you should host your content. And there's different platforms where you can hold your content through Facebook, Twitter, different blogs, but the author really believes that you should own it yourself and that it's very important to host it on your own platform. Sonia Simone said it very well: don't build on rented land. And you definitely need to have content spread over different platforms, but the main focus on it should be on a platform that you have full control over. So then the author mentions the hub and spoke model, and basically what it talks about is that the hub, which is your website or your blog, is basically is the center of where your content marketing lives, and then the spokes is places where you can syndicate your the rest of your content. So how this hub and spoke model works is basically you first create a social hub to drive all your traffic. Again, that generally can be a blog. Then you develop distribution channels, which are different social media sources such as Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and then basically you create good content that people relate to, they read about, they come back to, and then you basically link back to your hub, and this linking back basically sends traffic and increases your search visibility. Then the author goes and talks about that WordPress is basically the most popular content management system in the world, and it also has great user experience and very easy to change things and maneuver. So he definitely recommends that he uses it at his company. And then the last thing that the author mentions in this chapter is that your hub and your platform may be separate from your company's website, or it can be integrated into the website. So it really depends on what you want to achieve and what works better for your brand and your company. Okay, now on to Chapter 20. So basically in this chapter, the author really talks about that you shouldn't make the mistake of what most organizations do and start with focusing on which channel to put your content in, but you really should make out a content plan. And you really need to see what channels make sense for your brand and for your content, because different channels require different type of storytelling, and you want to make sure that your brand fits that role. Okay, so this is the content plan, and these are the different steps that are needed to put it all in action. These are different components of it. So the first part of it is the channel. So the channel is basically the main component of where your content lives, and the author basically gives an example as it could be your blog. The persona is the target audience that you want to reach with your content. And then the content goal is basically, you have to specify what are you trying to achieve? What's your purpose of being on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn? Like, you have to make sure you set the right goals and expectations for the content that is being generated. Then you want to define your primary content type. So is it going to be textual stories? Is it going to be mostly videos? Is it going to be infographics? So you really should decide what kind of content you're going to be generating. Then you really should think about the structure of your content, how it's going to be built, how many words are going to be in each post. So next we have is the tone, and the tone is really important because you really want to define what kind of tone your target audience responds better to. Is it being humorous? Is it being instructional? Is it being informational? How do you want to come off to your target audience? So the tone is very, very important to define in the beginning before you start building your content. Then you have channel integration. That means basically you want to see how are you going to integrate your different channels with each other. Then we have the desired action. Basically that means you want to set some metrics, and that refers to the different KPIs, and you want to make sure you're meeting your goals and KPIs with your content that you're generating. And last but not least, you have the editorial plan. And that's basically, you want to make sure that your story creation are delivered to your personas. Once you put all of these actions in place, you'll have a great content plan, and then after that you can really define which channels your content will live on and will become successful for your brand. And that's it. That's the end.